this is The Lounge. Today we're looking at another hot topic as always, and you know that we always come off the back of really trendy issues on the internet. My name is Melanie Ishola, and I'm joined today by my very amazing colleagues. And of course, as always, I'll go to my lady of the lounge.
I'm Margaret.
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 Osazua, if I can complete it for her.
I'm Margaret Osazua.
And I'm also joined by a very amazing colleague. And need I say, this requires a bit of more introduction before you hear his name, that more of my male married colleagues refuse to join us on the lounge today. Why is it so? You shall be finding out as the program goes on. So introduce yourself.
I'm Ganiyu Oshinabi.
Okay, Ganiyu, good to have you on the program. So it's Ganiyu's first time on the lounge.
Yeah.
And Margaret, we need to say welcome to the lounge.
You are welcome.
In the name of the Lord.
I want church now. I'm not in the church
because
now.
we really need to welcome him. It seems like Ganiyu is being baptized into a sort of
Before
topic that...
you were sweating.
Yes. And I just feel like, Ganiyu, you need to calm down. We're all going to be fine.
Don't worry. We will not come on you hard.
Yeah. And this is
I'm
so...
loaded and I'm ready.
Do I not love that?
Let's do this.
Now let's do this. So it's said that after Jamaica, Nigeria has the second highest paternity fraud cases in the world. And somebody is wondering, what again is paternity fraud? And this is where I get to say women, mothers, single mothers, baby mamas, wives. I am asked to ask you, who is the father of your child or children? And so when I put it like that, somebody may question, Melanie, why are you accusing them of a crime that they have not committed again? But it's just a question. And this is the point where we ask you to please call us up on the program today and let's have what you think of the issue of paternity fraud. We cannot get it started until you have seen this. So we'll take a quick break to watch this video together. Please pay attention as we'll be back to discuss it. Don't go nowhere.
Listen to me.
Please, my husband, see, we can settle this.
See, listen to me. I will not settle anything with you. After all I have done for you.
Please.
After all I have done for you. You have to sleep with another man. Don't bring a child in my house. Women! What did I do to deserve this?
Please, I beg you, please.
I was the one that even sent you to school. I paid your school, make sure that you were a graduate and you did this for me. God will punish you!
Please.
God will punish you!
Just as you saw that, so we also have been deliberating about the case of a father who apparently is pained and is lamenting how it could have been treated like that. So, Margaret, how could a human being do this to another human being? That seems like a fair question to ask. But Ganiyu, the question I will pose to you is, so haven't men always done this to women? So what should be the big deal if the father then discovers that the child in question is not his? So it feels like there are two sides to this coin. From time immemorial, we've heard married men who are not in a polygamous marriage, who have gone out to impregnate other women, and then are back home, you know, in the typical age-long Yoruba movies, and then they will now say on a Saturday morning, the relative of the husband will now come and say, our wife, our good and darling wife, we have come to beg you. You see your husband, he did not mean it. It was a mistake. Forgive him. But here comes a child that the woman didn't bargain to raise in the marriage. For me, I think I first want us to look at it from the angle of, are these two scenarios not the same? Margaret, I go with you first.
So first of all, what is paternity fraud? It is a man or a woman deliberately or falsely claiming that a child is or isn't theirs. Now, most of the time, cultural, let me go the cultural route. We'll say it is very wrong for a man to say, tell the wife, let's take this child to the hospital, let's go and do a paternity test. I mean, to be like, what do you mean? You don't know that I'm the father of the child, or you don't trust me that this is my child. But I mean, this thing has eaten deep into the fabric of marriages now that it has become a big deal. it has become a big deal. And I'm of the opinion that if you are not sure that the child is yours, please do a paternity test, because people are doing it. It's crazy. How do you now? Let me come from the angle that you now asked me. How do you mother a child that is not for your spouse and not let your spouse know? I will never understand it, except there's a scientific thing to this thing.
I think I can understand.
When you get pregnant for another man, you can't give the child to your husband.
What if you're not even aware that you're pregnant for another man?
Sorry, when you were doing the shallow protection.
So this is a case of you're having sexual intercourse with multiple men, and you're not being protected.
Safe.
So the pregnancy clearly could then have been of any of the men that you've been in sexual relations with.
Yes.
So I see a case where genuinely a woman could actually be guilty of
yes.
that. And I also see a case where genuinely a woman could be deliberately guilty of this, in the sense where we then say, oh yes, I'm aware. I give a vivid example before I come to Ghana. So there's been an activist lately, I can't recall the name, that says, so there is the case of closure sex that happens with brides having sexual intercourse with their exes just the week before their weddings. In a case like, you know what, dude, we're not getting married. I know it hurts, but while I bid spinsterhood goodbyes, can we just make out for a last time?
Oh my goodness.
And then, I mean, it's a sort of quote unquote closure sex.
I want
and
to
then you
hear
do that and then you get married. How does this not already lead to the possibility of having more children who are not then the fathers or quote unquote the husbands?
Okay.
Ganiwa, I need to bring you in on all of this. A lot has been said. It feels like a lot is ongoing.
I think I would like to start from, let's go back to the background.
Yeah.
I think most people get married and they are not ready. I think that's where it starts from. Most of us do not understand what marriage ought to be and what we want from it. So if we understand whether or not we are ready or what we expect from it, we would be able to say it clearly and ensure that everything is well spelled out before we go into it. Having said that, I feel that there is no justification, whether we like it or not, to why you would want to engage in paternity fraud.
I feel like we're judging.
That's if you are deliberate. In a situation where you are not deliberate, like it happened, it's still your fault. There's still no justification to it. This is not to judge them, but this is to say it clearly to their face that, come, it means there's something wrong in your orientation when going into marriage.
I love that you talked about orientation, but now let's break it down. A lot of people have children before they're married.
Okay.
A lot of people are unmarried, living together and have children.
Yes.
So there is no one size fits all. It's sort of like it's a market and there are several entry and exit points to it.
Yeah.
You're not a parent because you got married. You may not necessarily be married.
True.
And this may take us to another trending video. Margaret. I am trying not to talk about that video as much as possible. Unfortunately, we're going to still get to the video. But the point I'm making here is, we've seen women put under pressure to provide a proof of pregnancy before any union could take place between a man and a woman. Do you not know, people will say to you, oh, I'm told by my fiance's family to be pregnant before we could be joined in holy matrimony. All of these things actually predispose the woman to a lot of these ills. So a woman who's desperate to be pregnant for a man who's now like the prize, because to be married now seems like, oh, the prize, right? So the family says, be pregnant, then you have what you want, the prize, the husband, the man. And then you go getting the pregnancy how? Possibly opening yourself up to a number of sexual partners just because you are desperate to provide proof of pregnancy. That's because you ask how we got here, and for me it's good to actually trace it. There is a trajectory. How did we get here? For me, it's a societal conversation. It's beyond the conversation of the spouses involved in issues of paternity fraud.
Okay.
It sort of looks like there is how all of us are responsible. There is how the action or inaction of all of us have culminated into such things.
Okay,
as
I
this.
think I agree with you in this regard. And if I come from a different angle, but literally the same angle,
Okay, please.
of two people that have been married for years, and literally the family has started, because that's where it starts from, the mother-in-law. Yes,
Okay, please.
I agree. And when they start pestering you too much, say you need a child, your husband is doing it, but it's not working. That's not, he's not bringing forth anything, and then you now decide to do it outside. Now, when you get pregnant, obviously the man is happy, but the fact that the man is happy doesn't still make it right. Let me explain something to you. Imagine fathering a child from, let's say, ages 1 to like 16, the child is going to university. You can say for a fact that this is my child. And then at the end of the day, you now realize, and you know the unfair thing about this thing is, most times when the child is sick and you want to give blood,
According to Nollywood.
or
According to Nollywood.
Or I remember a particular scenario. Somebody was about to travel abroad and they needed a DNA test of all the children, and then the man realized that all the children
We're actually not.
were not his, and he was asking the wife, and she's like, it's not like that. I can explain. What do you want to explain? He blew her teeth out.
Do you know the case of siblings that I once read on Twitter, where the guy was, I think, the first of the family who had traveled, and the plan was he was supposed to help the siblings come over. I think it was the United States.
Okay.
And dude kept saying, right now everybody in my family hates me. Why is it so? He says, because I'm not able to bring them over, because I'm not able to file that we're siblings. Maybe there's supposed to be some proof, I don't know. He says, because I did DNA tests. He said, I think he sent them maybe for DNA tests or something. I don't know if it was a prerequisite, but it was the story I read. We may want to puncture a hole, but according to the story and how it fits into the narrative here is, and it ends up that none of them has matching DNA.
That's crazy. That's really crazy.
So the problem for the guy now is he doesn't want to present this to the family, because he doesn't want to be the one who is breaking the family off the ground of DNA issues and paternity issues. Can you? This is a big issue.
Very, very big.
Yes. And again, I just want you to look at it from how all of us could be responsible for this. I think that's what I did when I took the conversation from you. Should we then end up putting the blame on the woman? Can we look at how we all could become, maybe responsible?
I believe there are circumstances to this thing. It's just that most of the circumstances we've had and we've seen are not, most of the circumstances do not present the lady to not be blamed for it. They are always positioned to be blamed.
So your position is the woman is still to be blamed?
Yeah, in most of the cases. Not all, maybe not all. But I think that we need to understand that giving birth to a child or getting pregnant, all of this cannot be ascertained. We cannot say because she wants to marry your child, she must get pregnant first.
Or they've been married a few years, they're not pregnant.
It should not happen. If they would get pregnant, it is still them doing what they ought to do and God saying amen to it. You understand? I've seen cases where people who have been married for years and they try and nothing happened. They even went elsewhere and nothing happened. And there is no scientific explanation to it. And
there is assisted motherhood now. But you would realize that a number of people are still not open to the idea, for example, of IVF or surrogacy. I feel there are a few other ways, child adoption, right? Because people can become parents through other means. It mustn't necessarily be that you are the one that, have the pregnancy and then you see it to term. And there are a lot of issues from infertility, which again, let's start with erectile dysfunction in men, because if you cannot be erect, how can you do?
That's where communication comes in now. If you're not communicating, how you fall into these issues. For instance, there's a particular OAP person, I don't want to call his name, and he recently discovered, not this year, I guess, I don't know. He recently discovered that his first child was not his, and the excuse of the woman was that she was pregnant before she married him, so she did not deliberately give him the child.
How about telling him?
And I'm like, how about telling him? Why didn't you have that conversation? That's where communication comes to play. Now, I'm not, see, men father people's children. I've seen it happen. Where you just love a child so much, you take responsibility for the child, knowing that maybe the father of the said child doesn't want the child. So
Men
that,
marry men who
yes.
are children,
so
and
it
their fathers
happens.
to their children.
It happens. It's not a big deal.
True.
It happens.
True.
So when you do that, when you don't tell the man that this child I'm carrying is not yours, and you just go into it knowing that that child is not it, and you allow the man fend for that child, that's evil. You can kill somebody.
Thank you so much. I love this perspective you brought into it, Margaret. Gani, I'm coming to you again, and this time is to ask a really critical question. Whether we like it or not, this question has been on my mind. And if we put out a statistics like 3 out of 10 children in a place like Nigeria, not fathered by their known fathers, let me put it that way, yeah. Does it then mean that there is a possibility that if we pick 10 of us, let's say our teammates, we have to
Baby,
10
you're
on our
shaking.
team.
I'm not here.
Don't shake your head, Margaret.
I'm not here.
I think
Does it mean that there is a possibility that you probably don't know your father? Or a possibility that my father is possibly not my father? No, these are questions we have to put on the table.
yeah, I actually didn't grow up knowing my mom, so it's a different case for me.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry.
and dad was never there, so
Oh,
Wow.
I
wow.
might not share the same sentiments.
Oh, wow. This is quite a revelation.
So
And
sorry.
I'm so sorry about,
Sorry
your
about
mom
that.
And your dad too.
Thank you.
And you know, but I mean, it's still a relevant question, and I want us to please just.
Yeah, if I would answer your
yes,
question,
please.
I think it's. You mentioned there was a statistic you included in your introduction,
Yeah.
and which was like Nigeria is one of
Second, after
second,
Jamaica.
right? After
That's what
Jamaica.
they're saying, but I don't
Issues.
think that is it. But that's what people are saying.
Yeah.
That's what statistics data
Yeah, some
gave
people have
us,
argued
Margaret.
But I don't think-
that the fact that US is not there means it's not real.
True.
You understand?
We
But
could argue it that way.
if we look at it from our own perspective as Nigerians, I think most of us will really need to be sure of who our father is.
Mm.
And we need to really ask this question.
Really,
It might
On
sound
the spot,
nasty and
yeah.
uncalled for,
Mm.
but
If you,
it's
if you,
actually very, very
yeah.
important.
How would you ask
if
your
you
mom?
have trust issues,
How
no,
would you
no.
ask your mom?
If you have trust issues,
How would you ask
With
your
the way
mom?
the country is,
if you
and
have
with-
trust issues, my dear, do a paternity test. Though.
Margaret, can you ask your mom?
That's what, mommy. Are you?
Come
Am I
on,
your
is
daughter?
my daddy? Is my
Me
daddy
like
my
this,
daddy?
me personally. If you see my father, you see my mother, but no, see
Is your daddy's?
trademark one. It's
I have
our
a
trademark.
gist.
There is no way
I
you
have a
will
gist,
know
and I
that.
have to, what you said now is making me recall this gist. So
Oh my
once
goodness.
had, how do I gist this gist? And I told myself that when I come on the lounge, I want to stop saying I know somebody. I have a gist. But I guess there is always that fact of, I'm not so old, but I think I have a bit of
You're not
experience. Now this is it. There was a time when I was a teenager. I think I had just gained admission, and I went visiting, and there was an aunt in the area who happened to have a child, and the other friends to the lady just seemed to think that the child, that they couldn't quite tell who the father of the child was. Now this was the conversation, and then one of them said, hey, auntie, she shocked me. Sort of like, are you certain that the person our friend says is the father of this child is the father of the child? And this was now how they made the entire conversation really funny. They now said, because if you check it, there is one of the boyfriends who actually barely has hair. Because the child in question...
I already know this weird.
No, I don't like... This is why I have to share it, because each time I remember
my
that scene,
God.
I was just a teenager. Each time I remember, I'm like, goodness, how on earth could
You
this
watched
be
to that
possible?
extent.
And then, they were deliberating, analyzing, and then they said, because, if you check again, this child looks like she's going to be tall, but it couldn't be the other short brother. And then you check again, you see that even the face is looking at the face of this other brother. And in the entire scenario, they painted about 3 to 4 guys, and I went, yo, what are you guys saying? But these are the realities that we are confronted with today. To put context to our conversation, we're going to call on another break, just so we play the video again, and when we are back, we're expecting you to call us, and the question you're answering is it okay? 2 questions, actually. Is it okay if your child asks you, Mom, who truly is my father? And the next one is, please, we are asking you, we ourselves are asking you, are your children, is your child your husband's children, or the father that you said to the child? Because it's not even a case of, it could be a maybe mama who has given another person's child to another person. I mean, this, it's a bit just complicated. I don't even know how to unweave all of this, but maybe we can unpack it just after this break. Don't go away.
Please, my husband, see, we can settle this.
See, listen to me. I will not settle anything with you.
Emeka, please.
After all I have done for you.
Emeka, please, please.
After all I have done for you. You have to sleep with another man. Don't bring a child in my house. Help! 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 Women! What did I do to you?
Please, my husband, see, we can settle this.
See, listen to me. I will not settle anything with you.
Emeka, please.
After all I have done for you.
Emeka, please, please.
After all I have done for you. You have to sleep with another man. Don't bring a child in my house. Help! 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 Women! What did I do to deserve this?
Please, I beg you, please.
I was the one that even sent you to school. I paid your school. We made sure that you were a graduate and you did this for me. God will punish you.
Please.
God will punish you.
Thank you for doing this with us. You are on to the lounge. And the lady and the man of the lounge today are right here. We've been having quite a brilliant and an engaging conversation. If you like, you may say a very controversial conversation, but it doesn't get better than that. When we have a topic such as paternity fraud, there is no how all of us would not agree, then disagree, then fight, then come about and come around, especially when I'm asking, are you sure that your father is your father? That's just the question. It doesn't get any better. Please do well and call us today. We want to hear from you. The number is right there scrolling on the screen. My name is Melanie Ishola, and I've been joined by Margaret Osazua. I'm doing this because she's refusing to add Osazua, and I will not let that name not be mentioned. And also to my right, I have Ganiu Oshinobi, and we've been talking about this. There's been a lot of comments. Keep it coming. We're going to read out the comments, but just so you know, for the buzz, do well and call. Now back to the conversation. And again, I remember Ganiu saying, when we look at the statistics, some are busting the data of Nigeria being the second country after Jamaica to have the highest paternity fraud issues in the world. And of course, we look at the United States of America, that it looks like sex is, let's talk about you and me, right? Right. And then we're asking, does it mean that with the population of the United States of America as well, they do not have these huge issues with paternity fraud? And I have seen a lot of shows in America where what they do is burst paternity issues. Margaret, you can testify. There are a lot of Jerry Springers and also these other shows, you know, and we've seen them. And we keep saying, oh, wow, so I'm not the father. Oh, yo, so you're not my father. Now we're asking, what if your father really isn't your father? Anyways, we're not here to actually punch, you know, holes into family relations. But we're asking the critical questions. Do well and call in and let's know what you think around the issues of paternity fraud. Is it okay? And you also just saw the video. Is it okay when women do not fully disclose to their husbands or baby fathers, right, who the real owner of the baby, who the real father of the baby is?
But you know that this thing is not a crime.
No, it's not.
Do you
In
know,
Nigeria, it's not
I
a crime.
realized, I actually thought that, I thought it was a crime. Then I checked up and I realized that it's not a crime. So if there's no crime in this, people will take it for granted and do it the way they want. Which brings the question of trust. Somebody will say, but what if my husband comes to meet me and says, let's go and do a paternity test? Does that mean that he doesn't trust me?
It's deep. But
It's deep.
Would you be
yes,
okay?
it is deep.
I think I don't have a problem with it.
It is deep, but will it be okay if the child... I don't know how to explain this. Okay, let's give a very funny scenario. That in the hospital, you know that there are some hospitals where they do these things, where they switch children.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you know there are
That's
hospitals where they
absolutely
switch
right.
children?
Absolutely
Now,
right.
what happens when you, as a mother, you carry the child for 9 months, then you now realize that something is wrong with the child. You now go through a DNA test and realize that the child is not yours.
You see this?
You will lose your mind. How much more you now knowing that the child is yours?
Child switching. When I had my first child, I need to remove this ego. By the way, ladies and gentlemen of the lounge, I wanted to announce to you now that I have medicated glass. After how many years of living, they say I don't have a choice. Or we'll get to it some other day. But for the purpose of this very critical conversation, when I had my first child, I couldn't sleep until morning when the nurse had come to take care of my baby. Why is it so? The room I was shared by 2 new mothers, me and a mother who's had a child for about 2 or 3 days. And I found that my baby was, you know, very fair complexion, ginger hair, this and that. And so when we had, you know, exchanged pleasantries, I saw that the other woman also had a baby boy. And the baby boy was, you know, sometimes when babies are, you know, fair complexion, they almost want to look alike. I don't know how you want to argue it, but almost every baby is looking like every other baby, especially newborn, right? And then I felt like, oh, it's as though this newborn can be mistaken for my own newborn.
How did you have such a thought?
Lady and gentlemen of the lounge, I want to announce to you from that night up until the morning 6 a.m., I did not sleep. I didn't. I made sure because, I mean, I'd read it in the Bible. And then I felt this is not going to be a case of, we don't even have King Solomon alive. Who is going to settle the fight? But I said this story, I mean, again, what you said reminded me of this, and I always love to share it every time. But equally to say that what you said is so real. And there's been a lot of busting the crime in hospitals where there are medical personnel who are corrupt and who go about selling children, exchanging children, sometimes because of gender issues. There's somebody who wants to have a male child, and then somebody has had a female child, and then they exchange. Gani, my question.
Before I answer your question, I think there's something you mentioned as regards paternity fraud not being wrong. I'd like you to explain.
Not being wrong. I said it's not a crime.
It's not a crime. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not a crime in Nigeria. Like, it's not a crime. It's not like you when you go to
So
when
under
you
the
go and
Nigerian
say
law, it is not
a crime. That's what I'm saying.
And
Not that
when
it's
she
not
said
wrong.
that, no,
Not that
she
it's not
thinks
wrong. I'm
it's
saying
wrong.
it. I know it's wrong, go.
All right.
100%.
I'm yet to know.
It's
I'm
just
yet to
not
be
a
able to
crime
state
in
whether it's wrong or
Nigeria.
right.
So we have something from Valentin Oblak on Facebook. I think his name, I think it's Valentin Oblak. Okay. He says, my own question is, why is it that there is no punishment for those who commit paternity fraud? This is not good for the mental health of that child at all. Once he or she gets mature to know that his primary father is not his or her biological father.
Yeah. Like a lot of us have to ask, is my daddy my daddy? I know that my own daddy is my daddy. But Valentin Oblak is so on point.
Yes.
This has been part of what we've been talking about. Because imagine growing up and then you are discovering that your father is actually not your father. Maybe your father went ahead to do a paternity test, right, without even the knowledge of all of you, and decides it's happened. These things have happened. We've had it so many times.
You know that there are some mothers there are some women that find it difficult to take care of another person's child.
That's the point
Do you
I'm
know?
getting to. You remember when you
It's
said
very hard.
you were asking whether it was right. And I wanted to interject
No, I only wanted that to clarify.
and
what
she said it was about it not being lawful.
Lawful, yeah.
All right, please. So the other time when you got on that point, Margaret, I wanted to interject you, and then I said Ganiyu. So what I wanted to say then was, okay, so in the case where this thing is not illegal, just as it is in Nigeria, as a man, Ganiyu, and I just want us to picture it together. I mean, clearly you don't have a child yet, or maybe nobody has come to you yet to say your father.
Are you sure?
No, I mean, he has to tell us. Well, I'm taking it as Ganiyu doesn't have a child yet, right? But imagine that you've actually now been, okay, hello, we have a call. Hello? Hello? Okay, please do well and call again. I barely can hear. Do well and call us again. Would really love to hear from you. Now, imagine that at the end of the day, Ganiyu, you then realized, having had a child, that not only is the child not yours, you call it to not have the power by law to fight for the injustice that has been done against you. How would you feel and what would you do?
I would definitely not feel good about it, and I would have to talk to her to at first confront to know, is it true? And after knowing that, I want to know why. Why would you feel that I do not deserve to know? Or why do you feel I ought to father, I deserve to father
Another man's child.
another man's child? So it is based on an explanation. I will be calm about it. To those who know me, I'm usually calm about everything. Regardless of how big the issue is, I would at least calm down so I will be able to.
Okay, Gani. All right, thank you. So, good afternoon. Hello? Hello? Your name and where you're calling from, please. Okay, please do well and call us again. The numbers are scrolling right there. I mean, Gani, you said a lot of things there.
Yeah.
You're going to confront.
Yeah, I think
What if the confrontation was met by another confrontation?
it won't lead to violence. For
Okay.
facts, it won't. But I would ask. Whichever way she says it, I would just have to say it.
Do you think a person
But
could
the
so
thing
hurt
is-
as to cry? Because we saw that.
Yeah, we handle issues differently. I'm saying it and it's looking as if it's so simple. To some people, it might not be as simple. But to me, regardless of the issue, I calm down. I handle it like it's nothing. I come from that end, I would be able to see more and ask relevant questions. And not add emotions, you know. Your emotions cannot be trusted most times. You might be saying something and you mean something also. It's best is to calm down. And it might not be like that for others, but to me, I will calm down to know why.
Yeah. You know, I seem to be thinking, what do you guys think can predispose a man to being victim of such thing? Being victim of fathering a child that is then not yours. Another call here. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is Bayo. I'm calling from Illinois.
Okay, Bayo, can we have your contribution, please?
Okay. I want to contribute to the program. I want to share an experience that happens among Nigerians, especially those living in the US. Oftentimes you find out that Nigerians are engaging in what we call arranged marriage. You know, where maybe a young Nigerian who is seeking to get a green card employs the services of someone that already has a US green card, and along the line they fall in love. You know, she gets pregnant, but because that is a line of business, she doesn't know. She's not going to actually fall in love, talk less of getting pregnant. So she moves from one client to another client, and at the end of the day, she doesn't know who owns the pregnancy, who owns the baby. This is another example of paternity fraud that happens, that I'm aware that happens in the United States of America. So I want to say I also enjoy your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good work.
Thank you. Whoa.
That is really something.
I think we lost him there. Wow, thank you so much for calling. Did I hear everything I thought?
That's another point.
Wow.
Point. There are reasons and several reasons to why people would go into.
And I think that was what I was getting to. What predisposes a man to being victim?
So there's this in the call.
paternity
Is it what
Could
do they
be
call it? Is
karma?
it closure sex?
Closure sex.
Sorry, they call it. They said that is what people do a night to
Not
their
people,
wedding.
women now.
Okay, women. I mean, that's what our agenda. We used to do a night to the wedding. Say, let me quickly eat my cake and have it. It's the last time I will eat this quick. Let me quickly eat the cake.
Chop and clean out though.
They said that happens. So that there's one of that. There's one of closure. Then there's another one of the fact that the woman has not been able to birth a child for so many years. And then the in-laws are on her. And it's, sometimes the pressure of this particular one is not usually on the man. The pressure is mostly on the woman. And so that's why they go into that.
Fabricate the pregnancy.
Yes,
if you can.
anyhow.
Just tell us you are pregnant for our son.
And they do it.
I think it's very important that we know how to handle prayer, especially as
You seem like a very calm person.
No, he is.
Pressure don't hit you before.
No.
a lot.
Wow.
It depends on how you
It's a calm
attend to
dream.
it.
But I think
How
I've
you
seen
handle
Gani a little bit under pressure. The pressures and the gravity of the pressure would now differ because Gani, truly, Do you know how men attach,
Hey.
or what men attach to paternity issues?
Hey.
Fathering a
That's
child.
right.
It's sort of like all of them, the ego, the I'm a dad now. Do you mean, I mean, because it would beg the question, are you saying that I cannot father a child?
A child.
You would doubt yourself, you may lose your self-esteem,
Your mental
pride,
health is
your
at
mental
stake.
health is tortured. Gani,
Which is why I would ask questions.
if the question, you're not getting the answers you should get.
No,
I mean, look at
I'm
our
sure
caller
I'll get.
and
I'm
the
sure I'll
scenario
get.
he painted. A woman, blurring the line between what the profession is and eventually, falling in love and a whole lot of gamut of drama. And when all of these things happen, which again supports your claim of why do we not have the United States of America on this data profiling, please, right? And now we're saying, and Akola also said that was, amongst Nigerian community in the United States. So it begs the question, and I'm bringing it off the back of a proverb that I have always known when I was a child. They would say, "Eniti iyalomo." It is iyalomolomo, babaomo.
Yes.
Yeah. And for me, the reason we have this proverb sort of sounds like we have legitimized paternity fraud. I may be wrong, but that's how it sounds to me. Because when we want to normalize such proverb as "Iya omo nikan lo ma le mo baba omo," for those who do not understand Yoruba, it's only a mother. It's only a mother
That
who truly
knows.
can tell you, who knows
But
the
it's
father
true.
of the child.
But it's true. It's only a mother that can tell you that. See,
You
it's just
mentioned
that.
cases where-
Yes, it's
But what
just
if the mother
that.
also
You
doesn't
mentioned
know?
cases where they're
Okay, that one is different. Like this one now, it's a line of work. This our caller that
This
called.
our
They said
caller
it's a
just
line
mentioned
of work. Do you understand? It's a line of work. It's what she does. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but it's what she does. So yes, there can be the aspect of she has had it with several men, and now she doesn't know who the father is. There are some women that are very calculative. They will calculate it. They know the person. By the time they calculate everything, they know.
I think that's a lot of work.
Yes, they know.
I mean, Ganiu, you were going to say
Some
that's
women
the
know.
proverb. Yeah.
Some women know.
Yeah, I think I disagree with the proverb. I think they should know actually, but we've seen
Women know.
cases where they don't. And you ask yourself, are they not women? Are they not ladies? Why don't you know?
It's a deep question if you're asking me why don't I know, because there's still a lot of things I don't know about myself as a
So
woman.
for the purpose of those people who do not know for whatever reason, we should not solely agree
That's
with that proverb.
okay, please. So Black Prince on Facebook says paternity fraud is a serious issue. It has led many men into depression to have nurtured somebody's child or children for years after spending your last savings. I think it should go into law, and I think I agree.
Yes, I do.
I think I agree
Yeah, I
that it
agree.
should be a law.
I
You
agree.
see how important it was for Ganiu to interject and ask that, Margaret, what were you saying that time again? No, because there's no way it doesn't actually pique your interest.
Yes.
You mean somebody can do me wrong like that? It doesn't matter whether we are married though. And this brings me to the program that we saw. The trending video which was a paternity issue between a certain Sadiq, Waris, and Faithia. This happened in Ibadan, I guess, if I'm not wrong. And this video triggers me. Margaret, you probably
guys
know.
are-
I saw this video because there are children talking about children. It's wonderful. It's the world that we live in, a dysfunctional
It's so
society.
sad that matured ones are not ready to take responsibilities. And
Children
the
too.
Children are now the ones fighting for paternity.
Older men, I think we should move this conversation till the show is over. And we should ask members of the team, starting with Ganiu. Ganiu, why do older men run away from paternity, claims? And younger men, because that's what we saw in this video.
No, you know what they'll tell you when most of those men that say they are not fathers to the children or they are very sure, because they tell you that I know what I did. You see that statement irks me. I know what I did.
I knew that I scored the goal. How did you know?
No more. I did this one. Is not me.
Are we?
It's not me that did this one.
It's not easy to sweat.
What do you mean?
It's not easy to sweat. What does it mean to sweat, please, Ganiu? Ganiu, please explain. Explain.
So for a man to say,
Oh my
I know what
God.
I did.
What does that mean?
A lot of energy has gone into it.
Energy. I thought this was mutual. Ganiu, no. Ganiu just broke a table.
my God.
Please arrange this table back, put it back together.
Okay, but I would arrange it.
Please, in arranging
It
it.
is not just fair
Okay.
for a man, maybe after taking a lot of substance,
No, we are not supporting.
which is wrong.
Okay, please.
After doing a lot of exercise, getting prepared,
Okay.
you
Do
would
you think,
expect him to brag
hit
over
the
it.
gym? You mean like hit the gym
Maybe for some months. Before
just
the
for
big
one,
day.
just for one performance?
So
But
it
this one I'm
happens.
even saying
It
is,
can be hurtful
yes,
that you have spent a lot of time, energy, money, love, affection
Right.
to
the
nurture a
flowers,
child to
chocolate.
certain
Flowers, the
stage.
chocolates.
It's as good as say, oh, your father had a child to a point where he's graduating, and on the graduation day, some people came and
Claimed the child.
took his life.
So I think this is what Sadiq, Waris, and Faithia are trying to forestall. And which is, again, why I have appreciation for that conversation holding. I feel like, whether I feel triggered or not by the fact that, hey, yo, in the first place, these are children fighting over a child. Like, should these children even be fathering or mothering, pardon those Englishes, a child? Because the Faithia in question, and I'm not passing judgments, I just seem to see failure of parenting. In the case where the Faithia says, oh, I was pregnant for Sadiq, I went to their house and said my father should not hear of the pregnancy, and I was going to get certain drugs to abort the pregnancy, and the grandmother to Sadiq says, do not abort the pregnancy. Then eventually I did abort the pregnancy. That's the summary of this video. And when I thought that the pregnancy was aborted, Sadiq was out of town, and then I met another young man called Waris, and when I got on with Waris, in fact, she could even tell the day she had sexual intercourse.
You see why I
with
said
Waris.
that most times
everything
women
was
know.
just triggering
You
me.
see why I said most times they
Most
know.
times, but
they
let's leave
know.
the possibility of sometimes women not
Okay.
knowing. And Faithia in this case says, I got on with Waris, whereas when they went ahead with introductions and whatnot with Waris's family, the family of Sadiq, the grandmother in this case, felt, oh wow, it's pregnancy. You know how they say to you, don't worry, the issue will resolve itself. Because indeed, depending on when you're pregnant, I mean, we could calculate and know exactly, depending on when you are delivered of the baby, I mean to say, we can calculate and then say, so whose pregnancy, so to speak, is this? And that was seemingly the theory they were putting to test. To say, Sadiq's family then waited and said, oh, let her put to bed. When she's delivered of the child, we can tell. And so when she was then delivered of the child, they then went to the case of, so this is my child. Because you couldn't have this child at this time and claim that is the child of the father who christened. Right? This is quite interesting. Thank you for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your name and where you're calling from?
Lounge.
Yes, you're on to the lounge. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Hello.
Hello, your name and where you're calling from? Okay, do well and call us again. It's great to be able to hear you speak to us on the lounge. We've asked a lot of questions, but chief amongst the questions would be that we want to know exactly what would you do if your spouse, discovered... No, that's not the question. I seem to be losing my thoughts. Question spoke
Let me
on
do
the
this.
program.
Yahweh's elect on X says, not always the fault of the women, as commonly opined, but sometimes that of unscrupulous midwives versus nurses who criminally exchange people's babies at birth for financial or just sadistic reasons, just like I posited.
Yes, and you
say.
posited, yeah.
We can continue to count on reasons.
And it's great to talk about reasons, because sometimes it may not even be the fault of the women.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And again, I think that some things would also make men more susceptible to these things. Because, I mean, why would a woman be pregnant? Clearly you're pregnant. And then you want to take this pregnancy from Tade and give it to Ganiyu. Maybe Ganiyu has more money.
Yep.
Because I look at it.
Ganiyu is more responsible.
Ganiyu shows more responsibility. And then that makes Ganiyu vulnerable to such, crime being, because, I mean, it's not a crime, sorry. I won't call it a crime. It's not yet a crime in Nigeria.
But it should be.
But this sort of programming could actually push and advocate, right, for such a thing. I think it should be a crime. I think it should be a crime. It's a lot. This can actually kill people.
Yes.
Do you remember the case of the bank chief and the ex-bank worker who had relocated with the children to, I
Yes.
guess, Canada?
Yes.
Yes. Do you know that the ex-husband or the husband, I do not know if they were separated at that time, eventually died months after? So when you
Depression.
look at the gravity of what these sort of things can do to people, you then realize that this act is capable of killing people.
Yes,
so
it
why
is.
then do we not make it a criminal offense? But it's not even an offense.
Some people say men bring in other people's children and say, take care of this child. That's some people's argument. Men bring in other people's children and say, take care of this
Margaret
child.
is my argument.
So why can't women? No, this is not my argument. Why can't
It's my
women
own argument
also
too.
do the same? And I'm wondering
But
why.
I've just been silent on this program about it for obvious reasons. Because
Why?
I just felt I started by saying that, if you recollect, during my introduction. And then I said, so they say to you, we're sorry, your husband, he did not mean it. And then the child then becomes a member of your family. Margaret, I am married. And it is why when I look at paternity fraud, I'm saying, okay, can we call this maternity fraud? I don't know what name we would call it. Because then your spouse then brings home a
Another
child
that is not yours.
that is
maybe
given
his.
birth to by another woman who's not a part of your marriage. Let's even assume because the father or the man in question has agreed not to go the polygamous way and is saying, okay, I am not marrying the woman in question. I just want my child, which is responsible enough. But it still begs the question. So to the woman in the home who didn't beg to be a part of this drama, and she now has to be the mother of the child. The only difference in this case is most of the time the women are aware on time, quote and unquote. But there are cases and instances where the women get to know at the graveyard of their spouses, their husbands, that there are actually other children in this marriage. So when we take the conversation this side, Margaret, I think we should also swing it to the other side. And this has happened, it's age-long.
In fact.
It's generational, it's transgenerational. And it takes us back to the proverb they knew. For me, when I listen to proverb, it tells me something about the people, the ideologies, the beliefs, and whatnot, possibly the practice. If there's such a proverb like that in Yoruba land, I'm not Igbo, I possibly could be able to say, oh, yes, in Igbo land there is something like that. But I'm assuming that with every other tribes in Nigeria, there may be an equivalent proverb that actually speaks to this same issue. Then it would mean, Margaret, that this thing has happened from time immemorial.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's the
It's
spirit
just
of
a
the
seed
age.
that has been sown
Exactly.
over the years,
It's not
germinating.
new because we like to say, oh, these things are new. Are you the children of this era? Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, your name and where you're calling from, please.
Yeah, I'm calling in from Abuja.
From Abuja. What's your name?
My name is John.
All right, John. Let's have your contribution. Thank you for calling.
Okay. I just wanted to quickly share a personal experience. And I think sometimes in 2011, I met this girl. It was actually a one-night stand. And I didn't get to see her for some months. Only for her to tell me that she was pregnant. She tried to take it off, but her father asked her not to, and I was like, how come? I shared this with my mom, who was like, hey, she shouldn't take it off, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. But funny enough, as a then, I never had that feeling like, this might not be my child. I wasn't letting wise enough. I didn't get to ask too much questions. Now, this young man has been born as a then, I think 12.
So the baby is a boy child, John?
And I think that was in 2020. I went home. I saw my dad's pictures when he was young, and I realized how much I looked so much like him. Now, I saw this same boy. He stays with my mom. There is no single resemblance. If you see this boy, you see me, you know this boy is mine. And since then, I've been making my parents understand that this boy is not mine. But mom is always, hey, don't say that to, hey, your son, no, blah, 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 till today. As a matter of fact, every single day, I have this feeling that I'm raising another man's child.
Whoa.
And I think because the DNA test and the rest of it, everything seems quite expensive. Everyone would be like, hey, you have almost 500,000, do you have these 1 million, can you do this, can you do that? I'm like, money will support picture. You kind of so that's one time. Now, the second one happened. I currently have a child, like she's going to be 10 anytime from now. And she looks so much like her mom.
Okay, John, this is another child.
Yes, another child. Another different story.
Another child? Is this another child, not the same boy?
Another child, yeah, another child.
Fathered by you?
With someone else.
No, someone else.
Okay, someone else.
Fathered by you?
The lady, yes, the lady I'm currently with.
Okay.
So in 2012, we broke up. We broke up, and she had sex with her ex. Funny enough, I wasn't aware of anything. I wasn't aware she was pregnant like 4 months to 5 months later. I think we broke up in March. Sorry, we broke up in November, December. I didn't set my eyes on her till April 23rd. Then we spoke April 23rd, then 2013, then we met the next day, 2014. To my greatest surprise, truly she was pregnant. I was the one who even called that night. And I get to that she was pregnant from me. She used that same pregnancy. She had sex with her ex-boyfriend, gave the pregnancy to the boy's family, told them that she was to the guy that told the guy that she's pregnant for her. And as a matter of fact, each time I look at this girl, my daughter, I sometimes want to ask, is this really my child, or is this my child, or I'm raising someone else's child? She looks like me somehow. She looks like the mom very much. It's sad that every single time I still reflect back and I feel so bad. Now what happened is, even when I told her, she was like, she was angry with me. She never wanted to have anything to do with me. That as of December, she tried to tell me, but I wasn't listening. And I was like, wait, you didn't tell me anything. She said she tried doing it. Even if you try doing such, are you supposed to now upset your ex? And give the pregnancy to him, lie to him you're pregnant, and stuff like that. Now the question is, what if I never called you that day, that evening?
Whoa.
I was the one who called because I was just calling, saying hi to, like, let me just say hi to an ex. I'm like 4 months plus.
So that means you wouldn't have known that she was pregnant for you.
If only this child was mine. Okay, I will you, please.
Yes, please. Because if you hadn't called, according to you, you then wouldn't have known that she was pregnant for you. Was that not the point?
At all. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow, John. I mean, you've said a lot. I'm processing. I feel like my software may be hanging somewhere in between processing all of this. And honestly, first, I just want to commiserate with you because I just feel like, how do you handle all of these things? Now, you have a paternity case of your son and then your daughter. Your son, clearly, you may think that is not yours just because, as you said, doesn't look like you. But there are times when children do not look like us and they are actually ours. It only takes getting tested, I assume, to actually know. And as you said, would we use money for food to go and do paternity tests? Margaret, and I think he has 2 paternity test cases on his hand. John, are you still with us?
I can bet my life that boy is not my child.
Oh my God.
I can bet my whole life that boy is not
mine.
mine.
Oh my God.
Because I will tell you a funny thing. The young lady was coming back from my friend's house. She had sex and she was saying, hey, she used the condom. The thing here is, I was young and I think it was just one of those mistakes I made. And a part of me, as a matter of fact, I returned the boy about last year back to the mom. And she was like, where is all this coming from? I'm like, see. We need to start telling ourselves the truth. But can you believe that my mom collected boys back? That is going to come back.
Your mom likes grandchildren. God bless her soul.
Yes. I'm really going to do because I actually have a son now. I have 2 other kids now. And I have a son. And I wouldn't want a situation in which issues are going to come up tomorrow.
Okay.
But what I'm saying here is, the cost of paternity tests, DNAs, and the rest made some of us get to accept certain things and just keep quiet.
Well, what about the cost of raising the children? Let's think about this. So the cost of paternity tests, or the cost of raising the children. One is more. John, thank you so much for calling us. We are really grateful you contributed this afternoon. You opened up a new vista, if you would ask me, on this conversation on the show today. Margaret, I just want to keep quiet at this point.
You want to keep quiet?
Yes, please.
Why are you quiet?
Margaret, please carry on.
You can't just keep quiet.
I am
If
quiet.
both of you decide to keep quiet, should I?
Yeah, I said a lot.
It was quite a lot.
A lot.
So it means that just as mothers know if a child is theirs, the fathers also.
No, he's claiming to know by some.
But you know, there was one thing I picked from what he said, and he said that paternity tests are quite expensive. I mean, if it's not expensive, Melanie, a lot will be happening. Honestly, because a lot would have been revealed.
Yes.
So he's saying that it's really expensive. And so if you want to venture into that, it means that the money that you're supposed to use to eat is what you use
So
to do
can we
paternity
define
tests.
this really expensive? And this is why I'm interested in defining really expensive. They say, if you say education is expensive, try ignorance. Isn't that what they said? Now, we agree that education is expensive anyways, no matter how we want to look at it. But we pursue education. Now, to own your peace, how much would it cost? That's the question I seem to be asking John. And I think you may need to consider this. So to own your peace, because this question would keep coming back to him, if he's shared this much, not on a child, on two children,
In fact,
now,
the way he looks at the
he should
children
better go and
is-
do a job, cooperative, anything, in my opinion. Because whether or not he resolves this,
just for his sanity's
his
sake.
sanity's sake is mental health.
Yeah.
He's still going to raise the children. Do you know how much school fee is? It's still,
It's
either
better for
way
you
it is
to know.
expensive.
It's better for you to know.
For me, if you have doubt,
Just
and
know.
just as they say to us in journalism,
Yes,
if
just
you're in
know.
doubt, ask questions.
Ask
From the way he
questions.
spoke,
Check.
I'm not sure he's in doubt.
I think he's in doubt.
that their
That's
children
true.
are not
Spoke.
his.
Or you think he's sure that the children are not his?
Sure.
Unfortunately,
No,
he
I
has to be able
think
to prove
he's very sure about the first one.
the son.
But the second one, he
Is-
says there's a
is
slight
neither here nor
resemblance
there.
the mother and the
Yeah.
son. I think what irks him the most about that second one is the fact that while she was pregnant, she slept with her ex. That is
Kind of
what
like to
irks
get
him.
back
Yeah,
to
so
him,
that
according to the
seems
law.
to be what I got from that second one. That seems to be what even irked him the most.
But now he's even gone on to have children, right? I mean, Yahweh elects on X says, I think DNA should be done immediately after delivery of the baby to save such issues. Women should shine their eyes open after giving birth in the hospital. Trust me, this is a big issue. If you don't go for hospital, then you put your eye wide. But should we normalize paternity testing after delivery of each child?
With the rate at which we are going, you know, normally I would say, why would you say that? You do not know what we did. It's something you have been with now. We can say all those things, but it is happening. It is happening. This thing is real. This is not a movie. It is happening. So yes, if that is the only thing that will save it, let the paternity test. Paternity test. Now
Yes.
say my other thing. Paternity
Margaret.
test.
You're right. Yeah, but
Let it be done.
Why I may agree with that. I may want to agree with getting the paternity tests done immediately a child is birthed. This is why. To avert the issue of you don't trust me, we don't trust each other in the future, if we agree that we want to go ahead and hold a test. So if it's a given that once a child is had, we're going to be having the paternity tests done.
And do it in
Then
a
raise the
trusted
question,
hospital, please.
How many people have the money to do the paternity testing? Do you know how many people actually give birth to their children
I
and
don't know.
then have to
Can
go
it
and
be free?
run
Is it
for?
possible?
Is it possible for it to be free?
That's just the thing. Is it possible for it to be free?
Can it be made
Or
free?
can it be?
I do not think it can be made free. Even to deliver your child is not free in hospitals.
Okay, can it?
Even if you go to
can it be
Alaguomo,
reduced?
can the cost be subsidized by the state? But the question would now be, does the Nigerian state see this as a problem? As we have established on the program, this is not even a crime yet in the country.
So I'm getting that paternity test is between 100K to 150K.
Yes, I think I've seen that figure put out somewhere in the past. And some people have come to say, oh, it depends on where you're doing it. And you know how they now say, oh, you're running a malaria, for example, test at a diagnostic center. And they're saying that the readings are not as accurate as if you went somewhere else to run the same test. I mean, I have had a scan, baby scan, done in different places, and I've seen different things in the past. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Really.
Yes, good afternoon. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello?
I just made it. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes, it's Black. It's Black Prince calling from this.
Black Prince, thank you for calling. Where are you calling from? Hello, Black Prince. Hello? Okay, I think we seem to have lost Black Prince there. I mean, it's always exciting when we receive calls, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we hope he calls back. And we were saying that I've had baby scan, what do we even call this? Pregnancy scans done at some places. And then I've done it at other places where I could literally touch my baby, if you would. If you get what I'm trying to say. So then they say to you there's 3D scan, there is 4D scan, there is 5D scan. I don't know if there's a limit to that. So it's the same way I feel people may say, oh, one DNA test results maybe from certain centers are more reliable and more, better or not. But if it's actually between 100K and 150K, John, brother John,
Please go and do it too.
I'm just going to advise you go get it done.
Yeah, just take it off your mind.
Yes, I think it's worth resolving.
Yeah.
It's worth resolving. Because in this case, you're not even only indicting the women, you're equally indicting yourself. Because you're
So it's
asking,
better to
could
know.
I have been responsible?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And
it's better to know. Yeah.
Since he's in doubt,
You
he
should check.
go.
Yeah.
You should check.
it.
Okay, so it's been an interesting conversation and we can go on and on the program today. While I wish that Black Prince would call back, but I'm not certain that we can entertain Black Prince again. Do well next week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Join us on The Lounge. And we're right on Facebook and YouTube live. And we're here to serve you. Let's have really brilliant conversations around what's going on around in and around us. So we have a very brilliant society with really interesting issues that crop up. Somebody seems to say Nigeria itself as a country, Nigeria should be on Netflix. Nigeria should be on the Nigeria is cruise. The Nigeria is a whole lot. I do not know how we want to look at this, but I think Nigeria is a cruise.
Nigeria is on Netflix already. We just need to we need to raise more filmmakers to
Nigeria is a cruise of a country.
quality content.
So by way of wrapping up today, I think I want us to tie our conversations together. And Margaret, I'm bringing it to you, and then we're going to go to Ganil. A lot has been said. Sometimes we agreed, sometimes we disagreed. But the point today was not even to agree or to disagree. The point today is actually to look critically at the issue of paternity fraud. Again, because it looks like any of us could actually be victims of this.
Sure.
When I asked, could I not be my father's daughter? And I'm just asking for your opinion as we make a wrap today.
Okay. First of all, I'm my father's daughter. Okay. But what I would say as regards this case is the fact that I don't think having a test is wrong. Doing a test is wrong. I think it's very necessary if you are in doubt that you do that. It doesn't breed mistrust. It doesn't say that you don't trust your partner, because that's the angle most people will come from. But I mean, if you're in doubt, please, why not go ahead and do the test? And please do the test in a reputable hospital, because things are happening, whether we want to accept or not. Things are really happening. So it is better for you to do it in a hospital that you trust. Stand there. If need be, you can stand there. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm taking it again to Gani. Let's have you, give up your wrap-up thoughts around everything we've said today.
I would like to join Margaret to advise that when in doubt, we should go for paternity test. It's very, very important. One, for states of mental health, to ensure we are clear of any doubts
Okay.
that might arise. Thank you.
Okay, so when in doubt, indeed check. And I think John actually stands out today on the program. The contribution was quite immense.
Yeah, it's quite
And
deep.
honestly, I'm grateful that we have men who can be that vulnerable to share, because that again then tells you how important this sort of conversation is in the scheme of things. So, in conclusion, my Yoruba people, my ancestors say that ìyá ló lè sọ ẹni tó lọ́mọ. I'm not here to burst that. I feel like it takes a lot of wisdom for them to have been able to say that. Truly, it tells of the state of the society. But I sincerely think that we should be more deliberate about educating our girl child, our boy child, or children with regards to the imports of the truth of holding, taking responsibility, but also understanding that not doing the right things would actually could hurt, also could have consequences. I imagine a child being raised in another family who actually runs a certain risk biologically because the child belongs to another family, right, and doesn't even know his family or her family history. I think that we do a lot of harm, hurt, as women or as men when we allow these things to fester. And that's my conclusion on the lounge today. It's been a beautiful conversation, and we've taken it back and forth again, and we've come to what seems like a conclusion on the lounge. Until another time, that we will be here to give you yet another trendy and important issue to deal with on the lounge. My name is Melanie Ishola, and I say thank you for joining us. And
My name is Margaret Asazoa. Bye.
I'm Gani Oshinobi. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Do catch us next week.